as well. Um, these applications are all going to be recorded back to my machine. So getting started with the class, I had a little bit of problem with the performance from Pro Tools. In fact, I wasn't getting any performance with Pro Tools. So I apologize for having to boot you guys all out, but I had to do a full reboot of my machine, and this explains our delay today. So welcome to audio production techniques. Um, some of you may have actually had this course in the past, and it was audio workstations. And for reasons that really haven't been disclosed to me, the course has had a title change, although the materials you'll find are pretty much the same. Some of the materials have been somewhat streamlined, but it's basically the same information. You guys are going to be in the world of Pro Tools all month long. So I know you guys just came from a really cool class that dealt with Logic, and Logic's an incredible application. In fact, I'm pretty versed with Logic. I used to use Logic way back in the day when it was not an Apple product, when it was actually an eMagic product. In fact, it was one of the very first DAWs that I really got into. This month we are going to be 100% inside of Pro Tools, so just keep that in mind and keep that as your forefront of your thought. Real quick, I want to mention a couple things. It always happens at the beginning of the month that some student does not receive their book. So if you have not received your book, it should have arrived in the form of an email from McGraw-Hill giving you download codes and passwords to get this as a vital source book, which is basically a locked PDF. So if you have not got that, please check your email. If you check your email and you still don't have that doc, then do me a favor and contact FSO support. While I'd love to help you, there's just nothing for me to do. So there's no real way for me to help you with that. And I apologize, but that's just the nature of the beast. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my camera, say hello to everybody at home. Hey, guys. So I'll keep the camera live here for just a little bit so you guys can get an idea about who I am and where I come from. I'll give you a quick synopsis of basically the history of why I am in this position and why you guys are going to have a good month. I basically come from a musical family. My father played with Nat King Cole, Wayne Newton, Kenny Rogers, Willie Nelson, a whole host of really, really cool artists. And I was fortunate enough at a young age to be able to travel with my father on some occasions and witness him perform on stage, which is a really cool event for me. And it really set the pace for what I had in my future. My first musical instrument, I took up clarinet in, sixth grade. And I played clarinet for just a little bit and abandoned it after a period, just finding that it wasn't really the instrument that was suited for me, and pretty much kind of dropped out of music for a bit until right after high school when I picked up DJing and got into DJing and had some local residencies here throughout the Central Florida area, West Palm Beach, Orlando, Gainesville, and really found myself at home in the nightlife in a nightclub, and in amongst playing all these records, mostly dance records, alternative records, Front 242, Nine Inch Nails, Netzareb, Depeche Mode. I wanted to figure out where these sounds came from. And so I started researching some of my favorite artists and picked up on some of their synths and started delving into the world of production. One of my very good friends actually managed WEG Entertainment. WEG Entertainment is Right Entertainment Group. Right Entertainment Group is responsible for bringing you acts such as NSYNC, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake. In fact, Johnny Wright still manages Justin to this day, which we see Justin doing really, really well. So since my buddy managed that facility, it really gave me some opportunities to break into the pop market. And one of my very first productions was a remix of a boy band / girl band called Boys and Girls United. And it was a song called Messed Around. It was meant to just be a single, and they picked it up. They put it on the album as well as a single. And that saw a dance charts, top 40 Billboard dance charts movement. And that was probably one of my bigger claim to fames. Outside of that, the track you guys just heard getting into our session today was a track by DJ Icy. And that came out last year. We'll go ahead and pull that up for you here on screen. The track is called Rick Rack. And it is the DJ Icy Snow Cone remix. You can find that listed on Beatport. And so I pretty much primarily come from a dance music background, although I've done rock and roll. Um, I've done ska, hip hop, reggae, punk. So I've done a good amount of work, but I find myself pretty much staying within the vein of dance music genre, and most importantly, pretty much independent dance artist. So that just gives you kind of a quick glimpse into the world of where I've come from. I'm a huge synth head. I've owned lots and lots of analog synths. I've since abandoned all of my synths. I'm completely in the box now. So, just giving you a quick, brief history about myself. Before we get started today, um, does anybody have any questions so far? Anything maybe I'm not thinking of as far as some things to uh, cover before we get started? Let's see. Edgar's asking me something about an NS7. I'm not sure if that's a car or a piece of gear. Um, I don't own an NS7, and I'm not sure actually what that is. Oh, cool. Here's a good question. What would I say the key to passing this class is? Um, oh, Edgar, DJ controller. Let me come back to the key to passing the class. DJ controller, I actually still have my Technics 1200s. They're still set up. In fact, they're just feet away from me. I do use a DJ controller as well whenever I'm going to do digital files. The DJ controller I'm using Tractor as software. I also own Serato with the actual vinyl. But the DJ controller I'm currently using is um, a TT1 by Pioneer using, again, Native Instruments Tractor software as the software. Really cool controller. Everything's mapped out. There's a lot of hoopla about whether that's really DJing because, yeah, you can sync up the files, but you can use it just like vinyl as well. If you guys have DJ questions, that's awesome. We'll probably keep that back to maybe the end of our session because I know not everybody here is a DJ. But if you have those kind of questions, sure, hit me up. But we'll save those kind of questions probably for the end of our session, but still fun either way. So let me get back to key to passing this class because that's a really good question. The key to passing this class is, I'm not going to lie to you guys, you've got to hang on tight. You guys have probably already caught wind from maybe some of your friends. If you haven't, I'm going to go ahead and lay it out here for you. This class is going to pick up really fast. This first week, it's going to seem like it's really easy. A lot of it maybe even seem like review. We're going to talk about Pro Tools today. We're going to get in and show you the interface, where everything's at, so you can become acclimated, how to create tracks, resize tracks, how to import files, export files, how to save your work, that sort of stuff, which I'm sure most of us already know. However, week 2, it picks up, and from there on, it just goes like a banshee. So the key to passing this class is really to stay focused. I know some of you have full-time jobs, but if you're not applying 10 hours a week, you're not going to pass this course. You're really going to have to apply probably 20 hours. If you're brand new to Pro Tools, if you've never experienced Pro Tools before, this is going to seem like a whirlwind. It's going to seem like a lot of information. And I don't want to scare you guys, but I don't want to lie to you either. I don't want you guys to think that this is going to be a real easy course. The first week might seem like that, but just understand that it's going to be smooth sailing if you stay on top of your work. Okay, we've made this really streamlined. In fact, we've even consolidated some assignments, and what you guys are witnessing today is going to be basically a live atmosphere showing you how to accomplish your final project. So we're starting your final project today. Today is showing you how to get started with your final project. Are we going to cover Pro Tools and give you some of the basics? Yeah, absolutely. But I want you guys to realize that today is really going to be more about really how you're going to get started with your final project. We're going to show you the ins and outs of what it is you need to do with that. So understand that usually this live stream lesson will take place every single Monday evening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And typically we take the full 2 hours. You may see that I also will wait about 10 minutes to get the class started, just because I want to make sure that the body of us, most of us that have signed up, are online and are able to hang out and reap the benefits. Are these archived? Yes, they're archived. They're going to be archived every single week. It generally takes me about 24 hours to get them posted. The reason for that is the go-to training platform. Actually, once we close this evening, it will take a good hour, hour and a half for it to do its own format, and it formats back to my computer. And then for me to get it posted up to our YouTube channel, I generally don't do that here from my home, and the reason for that is the upload speed at school is a lot faster, and I can get it uploaded at school in about 40 minutes. Whereas if I try to do it at home, it's going to take me a couple hours, and in that hour, if I use my computer at all or if I alter what's going on with the upload, it will sometimes time out, and then I have to start the whole process over again. So understand that the archives will be available. They're usually going to be about 24 hours behind the class time, so just be aware of that. Now, I just want you guys to be aware of my chat window. You guys have the same chat window, so you're aware of this. The chat window is going to go by really, really fast. And so in the event I don't catch your chat or your question, please understand I'm not trying to ignore you. Typically, the way I want to run the class is throughout the class, you're more than welcome to ask questions. I would rather us hold back most of the questions till the very end of class, and then I'll review whatever you guys want to know. I try to leave an open session at the end to ask any questions you guys want and to cover anything we may have gone over. So it might not be a bad idea for you to keep a pen and paper handy and bullet point any of the questions you have. And it's simply because if I try to go back and scroll through your questions, typically somebody else is going to ask a question again and it keeps bumping it. And so just understand that while I may not catch your question right away, I'm not ignoring you. And just please be aware of that. Gonna see if I can cruise through here and catch some other questions that I may have missed. You guys are going pretty fast here. Don't scare me. I'm not trying to scare you guys. What is the use for this class? The use for this class is so that you guys get yourself versed with Pro Tools. This was a question from Antonio McKnight. The use for this class, understand that when you guys get done with Full Sail and you go off into your professional endeavors, 90% of the studios you guys walk into are not going to have a huge, nice SSL console. 90% of them aren't going to have an AMAC, but 90% of them are going to have Pro Tools. You guys are going to see Pro Tools. Yes, Logic is gaining ground, and Logic is currently still in a major market, really facilitates under 10% of major recording studios. While that may change here in the future, you still need to be versed in what you're going to see every single day if you're walking into a professional environment. So we're here to get you guys geared up. And you will have other courses as well. They're going to rely on Pro Tools, and they're going to expect basically that you guys already understand a lot of the principles that we already are teaching you. Let me scroll back through and see if I can catch some other questions I might have missed. Are all assignments part of the final? Yeah, kind of what you guys are seeing is you guys are seeing baby steps of the final project. For instance, today we're going to show you where you're going to go get your materials from and how to get these materials into Pro Tools and what you need to do with them for the first basically getting started procedure of your project. Let's see. Just reading through some questions real quick. Want to make sure I get some of your questions out of the way. I believe your name is Kiana, and if I've butchered your name, I apologize. Are all DAWs typically the same? Well, it's kind of like a car. All DAWs really kind of facilitate many of the same functions. It's a vehicle. It's a tool. If I were going to ask you to pick up a shovel, there might be a reason why you might want a spaded shovel as opposed to a flat edge shovel. If you're going to work on concrete, you want a flat edge shovel. If you're going to work in the garden, you're going to want a spaded shovel to cut through the dirt. So it's a tool, but certain tools might have better uses for certain functions. So yeah, all DAWs, they're all starting to kind of conglomerate and have a lot of the same features. So while it's going to be your choice to go out and purchase whatever vehicle you choose to drive, I can't tell you whether you want to drive a Mercedes or a BMW. That's going to be up to you. It's going to be whatever you prefer. But yeah, good question. A lot of DAWs really basically kind of do facilitate the same thing. But again, if you're going to go drive on a stock car circuit, you're going to want to be in a stock car, not just your standard VW, stock VW. Let me get through some other questions here. I see Pro Tools is good for mastering. Yeah, it is actually very, very good for mastering. Gonna have to watch archive. Okay, cool. Looks like I've gotten through the body of most of your questions. While I've got the camera open, I want to kind of just flip this around and show this to you guys. This is something that did not come with your launch box, and I highly recommend it. It's a full keyboard. And I highly recommend you go out and purchase one. You don't actually have to have one for this class. You could actually pull off this entire class with your Mac laptop and without a mouse. However, if you're going to be in a professional environment, you're going to need a full keyboard. This section that you see, this is a numeric keypad. You guys are missing this. This whole section here is missing from your laptop. Well, I take it back. You've got your arrow keys here, but this numeric keypad, all DAWs actually do utilize quick keys, including Logic. Sibelius does as well. And while you may not learn the quick keys right away, it's not a bad idea to snag one of these. Be sure you do not buy a PC keyboard, and please do not buy the current Apple model that is Wi-Fi, because it's basically, again, just it's taking away the numeric keypad, and this is something you're definitely going to need is your numeric keypad. I also recommend picking up a mouse. See if I can wiggle my mouse out of here. You can pick up any mouse you want. I'll show you what current mouse model I'm using. I believe this cost me 20 bucks. The keypad, I know you guys can get on eBay for about that. You can also buy the older style Apple keyboards. Again, make sure it's a full keyboard with a numeric keypad. This will help you out this month. It'll help you in your future courses as well. Do you have to have one? Are you going to fail this class, or are you going to do bad in this class if you don't have either of these? No. I just find that digging around on the little trackpad that you guys have on your laptop itself, it's not exactly ideal, especially when you're trying to do some of these audio editings. It's really nice to have. I prefer a trackball, but if you guys don't like trackballs, you don't have to have a trackball. The reason I prefer a trackball is the trackball actually allows me to navigate around without actually having to move my wrist. And since you're going to be doing a lot of audio editing, you don't want to be having to move yourself around. I know there is a small mouse that actually comes with your laptop. I don't recommend that mouse because it makes you have to wiggle around your wrist a whole bunch, which in the end is going to give you guys carpal tunnel. Again, these items aren't totally necessary for the course. I just find that it's going to be super helpful for you guys to actually get through the course. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, a full-size keyboard, definite plus. Don't have to have it. I apologize that didn't come with your launch box. Of course, that has nothing to do with me. I don't get to pick out the items that come in your launch box, but just letting you guys understand that that'll definitely help you out in this course and all your future courses as well. Coolio, just trying to see if we got any more questions. Okay, well, a couple things I do want to point out as well. Your assignments for this week, because of the holiday, all assignments have been pushed back to Sunday. It's not going to be like that each week. Typically, your week 2, you have a discussion board post. That will happen on a Wednesday. Your week 3, you'll have a discussion board post. That will happen on a Wednesday, or at least they're due on a Wednesday. You guys are more than welcome to do them early and turn them in. Each week on Friday, you will have a multiple choice test. Please keep in mind this is an open book multiple choice test. So that will be due each Friday. And then each Sunday evening is when you will have assignments due. So this week you have a Pro Tools Assignment 1, which basically we ask you to perform 10 different tasks within 8 minutes and do a screen capture using QuickTime as your screen capture. Pardon me, guys. Just trying to make myself a little more comfortable here. So you'd be utilizing QuickTime as your screen capture, and that way we can actually watch you guys perform your steps inside of Pro Tools. And that will be submitted to FSO. In the event your file is too large, we've actually given you guys steps for ways to try to minimize the actual file size. And if it's too large, we do give you guys an alternate delivery format. Please don't email it to us, but please put it in the form of a Dropbox and send us a downloadable link. But the way you'd want to send it to us is not by emailing it to us. I want all of your assignments, including your final project, to be posted to FSO. So how are you going to post something to FSO if it's over 100 megabytes? That's what your Dropbox is going to be used for. So put it in a Dropbox. Keep in mind, you're going to need to do this in advance of its due time. So it's midnight every single Sunday that you'll have to get this into Dropbox, get your Dropbox link posted to either a Word doc or a text doc, because those will be very, very small documents, kilobytes in size, and post that to FSO before midnight. Please do not email it to us. This class does not accept late assignments, so keep that in mind, which means your upload needs to happen. If you're uploading within the last hour to Dropbox, you're gambling with your grade because chances are it's not going to make it there on time. So be sure you get that stuff uploaded in time and in advance, because unfortunately, if you email me with a story saying, hey, look, I missed the deadline, I'm going to email you back saying, hey, sorry, you're going to have to eat that one. And it's just because this industry is a deadline-based industry, and it's something that you guys have already agreed to when signing up for your education here. So it's not me trying to be the bad guy, but it is me trying to toe the line. You guys are in a college atmosphere, and these are college courses, so keep that in mind. You guys are saying it's dark. I happen to keep it pretty dark here in the area where I do all my production. I actually have 2 rooms in the house that I do production. I do it actually out of a bedroom and also out of my living room. We're currently hanging out in my living room. I've got 2 sets of monitors, 2 really nice monitoring situations. In the bedroom, we've got Mackie HR824s with a sub, a 10-inch sub, and here we're dealing with Event 2020s with a 12-inch JBL sub. I find that it's actually optimal to get productions done within the living room area. It's a larger room. I have less fold-over frequencies, better bass response. The couch actually works really, really well to absorb some of those bass frequencies, and my mixes actually come out better. So you guys are actually seeing me. I do have a light on. The light is focused in the other direction, so I'm not actually sitting in the dark. All right. Any questions concerning the course before we get started with today's objectives? Anything I may have missed? Glad to see a lot of us up tonight. There's a lot of us posted, so this is a good class. And again, I appreciate you guys being patient while I got through some of the technical issues. All right. Well, it looks like we're pretty good. The camera's going to go away for a bit. If you guys want to see my bright and shining face, just let me know. We'll be sure and give it to you again at some point. All right, so the session we heard earlier was just a production that I wanted you guys to get a quick listen to, and so you guys could get an idea of some of the works that I've done in the past. We don't really need to save this, and I do want to actually navigate us back to Safari. And let's take a look here at some of the stuff we're going to be working on this month. Okay, first thing I want to point you guys out to is I want to show you some materials that we're going to use for the month. The first bit of materials are some materials you may not even be aware that you have. So you have 8.5 gigs worth of loop libraries that I want you to be aware of and to take advantage of. And in fact, when I work on this project with you guys, I want you to have the same materials that I have. So you'll see that I'm going to limit anything that I use to pretty much already things that come with your Pro Tools setup. So the first thing I want you guys to be aware of is to log into your Avid account and get some of these materials. So let me show you what we're talking about. We'll go ahead and I'll log into my account here. Now, as soon as you are logged into your account, I want you to go to this area that says My Products. And I want you to view where it says My Product Details. So click on View My Product Details. And, oh yeah, while we're here, quick reference. Understand that this course can be using versions 8, 9, or 10 of Pro Tools. It won't matter which version of Pro Tools you're using. Please understand we are not currently supporting Pro Tools 11. Number one, I don't own Pro Tools 11. So if you do your final project in Pro Tools 11, I won't be able to open it. But have no fear, because right about now somebody's saying, wait a minute, I already downloaded and I'm using Pro Tools 11. Well, that's okay, but I'll need you to go and download Pro Tools 10 and put that on your machine as well. We're going to just click back over to Pro Tools here and show you. I'm currently running version 10.3.6. There is a more current update. It's 10.3.7. However, I'm not sure how well it's running. And I do know that 10.3.6 is running really, really smooth. So in the event that you are on an earlier version of Pro Tools 10, please update to at least 10.3.6, which I believe is already there for you in your software installations and updates, one of your assignments for the beginning of the week, please make sure you do that right away. I want to make sure that you guys have Pro Tools running smoothly. So you're more than welcome to take the chance and download 10.3.7. I just am not running it yet because I want to make sure that it's stable. No, I don't want you guys to run version 10. I know it says HD here for me, but that's just because I have an HD license on my iLock. So you guys just want to use standard Pro Tools, not HD. And I just happen to have that license. So that's why my version is showing up as HD. Make sure that if you guys are using version 10 that you do update to 10.3.6. You don't have to do that right now. You probably want to do it when we're done with class, but just letting you know what current version we are running and what is supported. Please do not use Pro Tools 11. While it wouldn't really make a difference if you're using it on your screen captures, Pro Tools assignments 1, 2, and 3 that are due each Sunday of the first 3 weeks, it will make a difference if you turn in your final project using Pro Tools 11. I won't be able to open it up. So right about now, somebody's saying, hey, why aren't you guys using version 11? It's the latest and greatest. Well, the reason for that is a lot of the manufacturers, there's a new plugin type. They have dropped RTAS, which stands for Real-Time Audio Suite. We'll talk more throughout the month what that really means to both you and I. But they have dropped that plugin format. So all of the developers, including Pro Tools, have to then rewrite all of the codes for all of their plugins, and nearly all of the virtual instruments, in fact, all of the Avid virtual instruments are not ready for this new plugin type. So they rolled out a new version of Pro Tools that isn't even ready for many of the plugins. Some of the plugin manufacturers are already on board and have the new plugin type created and have rolled it out, but many of them have not. So to give you guys the full benefit of Pro Tools, we don't want to give you an application that doesn't give you a lot of the virtual instruments that you want to use throughout the month. So please be aware that we will only be using the highest version of Pro Tools we'll be able to use this month. Will be 10, and that version will be 10.3.6. If you want to risk it and install 10.3.7, I don't have a problem, but just understand that I haven't qualified it yet. DigiDesign has, but just because they qualify something, I don't always jump on board. I have projects that are in the work, and I can't afford for these projects to go through a bunch of annoying crashes left and right and that have me losing my work. And I don't want you to experience that in front of me in a live setting like we have this evening as well. Back to some materials that you're going to get from DigiDesign. Log into your account. You're going to go to View My Product Details, and then you want to go look at your current version of Pro Tools and look under the Download section. Under the Download section, if we scroll down here, you can see you have all of these loop libraries that come from Big Fish Audio. All these loop libraries add up to 8.5 gigs worth of loop library information. Really cool stuff. I'm going to admonish you to download these one at a time. I've experienced, I as well as other students have experienced issues when downloading multiples. You're going to get some form of an error. So download them one at a time. Once one is completely downloaded, then go ahead and move on to the next. In the event you have your original installation discs, I would recommend downloading them off there. You'll see that one of those discs, it's actually going to be a DVD, is going to be labeled Avid Loops or Avid Samples, something along those lines. And that's going to be your quickest and easiest way. Once you get these items, you're going to want to put them in some form of a location. Let me go ahead and hide Pro Tools, get that out of the way. I'll show you where I put mine. Now, you don't have to put yours where I put mine. I'm just simply showing you where I put these items. I put them, I'm going to go ahead and show you my Mac hard drive. I put them inside of my music folder. And I created a folder called Sounds and Samples. If we open this up, you'll see here I have a folder called Avid Materials. Inside Avid Materials, these are each of the individual loop libraries and all of their content. So there's that DJ Dance. So if we were to go back over here, you see here you got DJ Dance. So that's all of the libraries. And they're all nice and neat in one folder. That way they're all there. And of course, this is a folder hierarchy from Avid. So you can see they have their own folder hierarchy. But if you just put them all in one folder, put them in a centralized location, you'll be good to go for the month. Cool. So there are your loop libraries. And typically, I'll probably cover this really quickly at the beginning of each of our sessions for those that maybe are going to miss this. And I won't spend a lot of time on it, but this very first session, I want to make sure you guys know where to get these materials. So there you go. There's your loop libraries. Now, the second bit of business that we're going to be dealing with today, and this will get us into our materials that we're going to use, is going to be a website called Indaba. And I'll go ahead and give you guys the link for this. Here is your Indaba link. There, I went ahead and posted that in the chat so you guys all have that link. Cool, just reading some of your messages real quick. So indabamusic.com. This site is where we're going to get our materials from. What do I mean by that? Well, this is a free website, so I want you guys to do this evening because we're going to get started on our final project today. Believe it or not, we're going to start working on it today. And we're going to baby step you along, so we'll show you the process of what I need you to do, but create this account. You don't have to do it right this second, but when we're done with our lesson this evening, please go to indabamusic.com, create your free account. Now, before you start using the files in this website, I need to make you aware that the free account gives you 3 opportunities. So it basically gives you 3 different artists that you can download their files. Well, what are their files? These are artists that are currently out or about to be released. These are usually going to be major record label artists. You're going to get their recorded files or their comped down files, and this is what we're going to be using for our remix. Now remember, you can only choose 3 artists. Then beyond that, you'd actually have to pay for the account. I actually do have a paid account. It's $50 a year, but I'm not asking you guys to come out off of any more money. It's just not feasible to ask you guys to go pay for $50 for an account. Some of us don't have that extra 50 bucks. So keep that in mind when you're using these files. There's only 3 artists that you'll be able to use the free files from. So let's go figure out what the artists are that are up currently and see which artists we may want to choose from the month. So to do this, you want to navigate up top where you can see me circling around. It says opportunities. I'm going to go ahead and click on this opportunities tab. And this will show us all of the current artists. Now it shows us a banner up at the top here, and you can see the artist there, Breathe. I'm actually going to scroll down because I don't like that banner. It's kind of wonky to have to navigate through. All of the same artists are listed down here. I can see if I hover over the artist, it tells me a little bit about the artist. It's asked me to remix the Drop City Yacht Club single for Dream in California. And not only could you use this file for your audio production techniques course, you could also submit it to their website for an opportunity to get on the artist's album or single as well as win prizes. So let's take a look at this first artist here, the Drop City Yacht Club, and take a listen to Dreaming California and see if this is possibly something I might want to work with all month long. Now, keep in mind, these are files you're going to work with all month, so you may want to actually kind of enjoy the song. Here's an instance to where you're going to get to choose the artist that you remix, whereas in the professional field, your artist is going to come to you, and 9 times out of 10, you don't get to choose your work that comes to you. They are the client. So just keep that in mind. You're going to be working with this all month long, so you probably want to choose something that you can tolerate for the next 4 weeks. Question here. Yeah, Joshua Graves has got a good question. He's saying if he's already used 2 opportunities, he needs to be very particular about the third one. Yes, Joshua, unless you're willing to drop whatever the fee is to access all of their files, sometimes they run specials that'll cut the price in half, so 25 bucks instead of 50. But unless you plan on forking out some dollars, yes, you're going to have to be picky about the artist you choose, and that's why I'm going to make sure that I go slow through this process and showing you guys how to pick your artists. Another question, Edgar's asking, can we sign up with Facebook or do we need to sign up with a Full Sail email? Oh, that's a really good question. I don't really care when it comes to this. When it comes to your Avid account, you need to make sure that I have registered your products using your Full Sail account. With this site, it's totally up to you. You're going to have your choice. So if you want to sign up with your Facebook account, it won't matter for our course at all. And it shouldn't matter for any of your future courses. So feel free to sign up using whatever email address you want, whether that's your Facebook. I think I'm currently signed in using my Facebook, which I just found it to be a little easier to get signed up, but good questions. All right, so let's take a look at this artist here, Drop City Yacht Club. I'm simply going to click on the artist. It's going to take me to the artist page. And then I'm going to audition the song before I decide to enter opportunity. This enter opportunity is going to try to use one of your free 3 keys. So they give you keys to open up the opportunities. So you'll notice that when you go to try to use this, it's going to say it's using up one of your keys. That key means it's going to unlock the opportunity for you. But before we hit that enter opportunity, you want to listen to the artist. So off to the right-hand side, you can see me hovering around the play icon. Let's go ahead and play the artist and see how these guys sound. you'll notice that a player should pop up at the bottom once you've hit your play icon. There it is. And because I'm utilizing multiple streams of output, I'm getting static coming through my audio interface, and I'm unable to audition this artist. So this was some of the issues I was actually running into earlier. However, earlier Pro Tools was giving me static and I wasn't able to play it back. Let me see if I can correct this real quick. We may not actually be able to audition these artists. I'm set for duet USB, so I should be able to hear this. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to go bold here, and I'm going to go ahead and just download this artist. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you guys be bold and download an artist without hearing it, but I'm fortunate enough that I paid for an account, hoping that my account hasn't run out yet, because I think it's been about a year since I've used this account. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to enter opportunity. Now, should you do this, you're then using up one of your opportunities. Just be aware of that. When you click on enter opportunity, you're presented with basically a bunch of jargon here from drafted by scum-sucking lawyers meant to sue your pants off. In the event you try to use these files that you're being given, uh, well, if you're using it in any other form other than submitting it back to Endava, if you try to raise any kind of funds and sell this to someone or use it in a production of any kind, they're going to sue the living daylights out of you because you've agreed that you are not going to do anything with these files other than basically use them for Endava. Now, if you're on a DJ gig and you're out playing your new remix, I don't think you're probably going to get sued. But then again, it's better to err on the safe side. So now, once I hit accept and continue, this is where it kind of gets kind of serious, because once you hit accept and continue, then you truly are utilizing one of your opportunities. So just be aware of that. Now, when I hit accept and continue as well, the next window that I see will be a window that you need to stay in. If you leave this next window after hitting accept and continue, you won't be able to get the files. And then you've hosed yourself out of one of your opportunities. So once I hit accept and continue, remember, the next window is pretty important. Okay, I hit accept and continue. And here's where it says download all stems. Now, I could download individual stems, but I don't recommend that. Let's go ahead and choose download all stems. Now, downloading all stems should start the download process. I'm going to go ahead and check my download manager to see if these are actually truly downloading. I don't see anything happening, so let's try downloading these again. Again, see nothing downloading. Pardon me, guys. Just trying to figure out why I don't have these downloading. Interesting. All right, I'm having some download issues on my end, and just trying to see if I can tell. It does say I have a pro account. Not sure why it didn't let me download. There we go. Files are now downloading. Checking download manager. Cool. Not really sure why it didn't let me download initially. That's the first time I've ever seen that type of error. Since this is going to take a while, you can see here, wow, their server must be really slow, because the files here, I'm looking at my download manager. And by the way, that's a Safari deal there. Whenever you want to actually see your files, Command Option L will bring up your download manager window. And we can see here that the file size here is 193.1 megabytes. So not exactly a huge file, and it's telling me it's going to take me quite a while to download this. So in that interim, we can actually show you what I'm going to do with these files once they are downloaded. There's a couple things. Well, it actually named the folder slightly different from what I want to name it, but there's also some other things I'm going to end up going back. Once these files are downloaded, I'm actually going to go back and download these files again. Let me see if I can get this to actually play real quick. Okay, I got nothing but static on my end, so we're not going to get to audition these files. That's okay. But I am going to rename that file once it's downloaded. And some things I want to name it, I want to show you what it is we're going to name it. Because there's some information that's actually given here. If you look under FAQ, frequently asked questions. Under FAQ, if you go to frequently asked questions, it's going to give you some information about the prizes and deadlines and things like that. And one of the most important things that it's going to give you here is that the question is, what tempo is Dream in California and what key is it in? Dream in California is in the key of E flat minor, and the tempo, or beats per minute, BPM, is at 89 beats per minute. That's going to be pretty important to us because we're going to need to actually have that information on the file itself. So that information, I'm going to go back and actually rename the file once it's completed the download process. The reason for that is that I store all these files in a location where if I need to go get them for later use, they're actually there for me. And in the event that this contest has then come and gone and it's years later and I just decide that I feel like remixing this track, I already have that important information about what the key of the song was in and what the tempo was. So just really important information that you're going to want to have. Now, what do I do with these files once they've downloaded? Of course, they're going to download to my download folder, but let me show you what I actually do with them. I actually go back and I archive these. I put them back into my music folder again. Instead of putting them in sounds and samples, I put them in artist remix files. So anytime I get something from Indaba or I get something from an artist that's going to give me their files to remix, this is where I put these files. And I try to put that same information embedded into, there you go, Jonas Brothers, Pom Poms, 148 beats per minute, and the key is A minor. So this way, if I ever want to go back, should I really get a wild hair and want to get into some Jonas Brothers, then there you go. I've already got their information, and I'm storing these files back into a separate location. I'm getting reports of audio going in and out. How you guys doing with audio? Everything loud and clear? Okay, I think what's happening, let me go back and see if I can recreate the problem just so I can know for future reference. I think the problem was happening when I was accessing the website and trying to hit play. So I'm going to hit play. I'm going to give you guys some quick. Roberto Perez says it's in and out. So is it in and out when I'm switching screens like that? When is it becoming in and out? Like if I go and I hit play right now, it should be going in and out because I'm getting intermittent. Okay, so I went to hit play when I'm switching screens. Okay. Roberto's saying you've been getting it since I started. Others are saying it's only when I'm switching screens. Yeah, hey, that was a good point. I'm not sure who just mentioned that because it scrolled by pretty quickly. But yeah, that's a really good point. I'm actually doing a lot of streaming going on right now. You guys are being picked up, me as well as my camera whenever I turn my camera on. And we are also downloading files at the same time. So that's probably what's going on. Connor's saying is gone. Connor, what does that mean? Does that mean you have no audio whatsoever? Okay, Connor, if that's the case, just logging out and logging back into the course should resolve your issue, and that's pretty much for everybody. Okay, well, I'm sorry you guys are having any audio drops. There will be an archive, so your archive will be your best resort in the event that you somehow are just having such poor connection. All right, guys. Good luck on that. And yeah, just keep me posted if you guys are having weird audio dropouts. I apologize. It's really due to the platform, and it really shouldn't be anything on my end. But appreciate the updates. Okay, so we see where we're getting the files from. Let's get a quick update where we're at. Looks like we're not even quite halfway done downloading the files. That's all right. We have some other things we can actually discuss concerning Pro Tools. So let's actually launch Pro Tools and get you guys up and started with Pro Tools. And let's go ahead and just familiarize ourselves with the environment of Pro Tools. We'll go ahead and hide this for now. You guys getting audio drops when I'm hiding windows like that? All right, sounds like everybody's good. Okay, cool. Excellent. So let's take a look at Pro Tools here. Now, I want to go ahead and show you guys basically getting started from the start. I'm pretty sure you guys are already familiar. Command N gives you, whenever Pro Tools is open, will give you the new session dialog. Now, you have some options here. You could create a session from a template. And just like Logic, you guys are familiar with this. If you had something, you could actually create your own template and save it here as well. But in the event that you wanted to start off with a template, this might not be a bad place to start. Today, we're going to start off with a blank session. And whenever you create a blank session, it gives you a new session dialog parameters. For instance, you can choose what file type. If you're on version 8 of Pro Tools, you'll see a file type that's extra that you don't see here. And it will be SD2 or Sound Designer 2, which is actually a file type that was created by DigiDesign. For the rest of us, we have the option of Broadcast Wave and AIF. I want you guys to get used to using Broadcast Wave, and there's actually a reason why I'm asking you guys to use Broadcast Wave. Any idea on why I would ask you guys to use Broadcast Wave? Any ideas on why I'm asking you guys to choose Broadcast Wave? Some good guesses there. It has nothing to do with quality or the bit rate. Nothing to do with compression. Someone mentioned standard format. Standard format does actually play into it. And I see several people saying compatibility. So yeah. And what is that compatibility that we're talking about? The compatibility we're talking about actually has to do with Mac to PC. AIF is going to be native to Mac only. So in the event you try to go from a Mac to a PC and you're on AIF, you're not going to be able to play along. You're going to be dealing with an incompatible file format that will not be compatible for a PC. So this is why we're trying to get you guys used to using Broadcast Wave. It really had nothing to do with sound quality. You're not going to have a sound quality difference between AIF and Broadcast Wave. By the way, Wave and Broadcast Wave really are pretty much the same thing. If we were really to get technical about it, Broadcast Wave actually has a bit more information to it, has some time code embedded to it that is typically going to use for a posting situation. So just understand that word's kind of interchangeable. So for right now, we're going to use Broadcast Wave. We'll go ahead and use 44.1 as our sample rate. Now for I/O, which stands for input and output settings, get used to using stereo mixed. If you are working in an environment where you're in a situation you're in a room that actually can utilize 5.1, then if you hit last used and you meant it to have a stereo session, it's going to revert to being in the last session format that it saw, 5.1. And that means you're going to have sound coming out of the wrong speakers. It's not going to be coming out of your mains, out of your monitor mains for stereo. So for this class, just get used to using stereo mixed. We'll go ahead and hit OK. Now we're going to lose our camera here for a little bit. I'll see you guys in a little bit. I am going to save this back to my desktop. I don't recommend you guys saving it back to your desktop. I recommend you saving it to a different location. For today's purposes only, just to kind of show you guys what it is that we're going to be doing, we're going to save this back. We'll call this test session, and we'll save it back to our desktop. You don't ever want to get your desktop all cluttered. Notice I've got my desktop real nice and neat. Nothing going on there. A dirty desktop really shows to others that you really don't understand file hierarchy, so get used to really good file management with your Pro Tools systems. We'll save it back to our desktop, and you can see here we have a Pro Tools session. I'm going to go ahead and hide Pro Tools. And you can see here is our session. There's the session we just created. If we open up the session folder, you can see we have the session file. We have an audio files folder. We have clip groups, video files. Now, if I don't use any of these folders, if I just save and quit out of that session, all of the folders that I don't use will go away. So just keep in mind, there's a difference here. This is a session folder. This is a session file. If I wanted to relaunch this session, this would be the file that I'd go back to double click and relaunch this session. But just notice the difference between the session folder and then a session file. Pretty standard stuff. We're now looking at Pro Tools, and inside of Pro Tools, we don't really have a whole lot going on. So let's create some tracks. Shift Command N is the quick key. You can see I've got Keycaster going so you guys can see my quick keys. If you don't remember the quick key, that's all right. No harm, no foul. I want you guys to try to get used to using quick keys. I'm not going to shove them down your throat this month. We will talk about them from time to time, but I'm also going to show you how to do these without actually using quick keys. So without a quick key, if you go to Track and you go New, and you can also see there's the quick key for you, Shift Command N. So now we're looking at our new track dialog. If I were using a full numeric keypad, I can use Command and plus along the side to add or take away new track types. So this is another reason why using a full numeric keypad is really useful. Again, you need a full keyboard like I showed you at the beginning of today's lesson in order to utilize that feature that you just saw. So for right now, let's do 4 mono audio tracks. I'll add a new track type, Command plus. And again, you need the full numeric keypad. We'll do 4, and I use Command and arrow right to change into my, notice I'm changing from stereo to mono by using my arrow keys. You guys actually have those arrow keys. They're also on a full numeric keypad as well, but you guys actually do have those on your laptop. So I could do 4 stereo tracks. Let's add a new track type. We'll create a new stereo. Notice I'm using my up and down arrows with Command. This changes my track type when I'm in my new tracks window. So we'll create a new stereo master fader. I will create also 4 stereo. Let's create 4 stereo aux inputs. We'll go ahead and create these, and notice now we have tracks inside of Pro Tools. Command equals is going to be a main key that you're going to want to just go ahead and commit to memory. This is going to go back and forth between your mix window, which we're seeing now, and your edit window. Now, I don't currently have any files in Pro Tools, so there's not a whole lot that's really pretty about the tracks inside of Pro Tools. But while we're looking at the tracks, you may be seeing something a little bit different from what I'm seeing. So I want to kind of show you some other features here. Off to the right-hand side, we're looking at the clip spin. You can see my mouse hovering around, circling inside the clip spin. If you're on version 8 of Pro Tools, it's actually called the region spin, but versions 9 and 10 and 11 is going to call this a clip spin. Same exact functionality, just the nomenclature and the name of the actual window changes. You can show and hide this at the very bottom, little small arrow that will show and hide your clip spin. This is where all your audio files will be located whenever you're utilizing them inside of Pro Tools. So once they're imported inside of Pro Tools, this is where they'll be located. All right, off to the left-hand side, you see that we have the tracks menu. And the tracks menu has these little chiclets next to it. You can click on these chiclets and you can show and hide tracks inside of Pro Tools. Now, if we had actual audio files in here and we were playing these back, you would still hear these. They would just be hidden from view. So you're not muting them, you're not making them inactive, you're just simply hiding them from view. Down at the bottom is our groups menu, and again, you can show and hide this with a small arrow at the very bottom. Now, I want to show you how to resize your tracks. You can go in between a track, and you can click and drag to resize tracks. You can also hold down Control and Option and use your arrow keys, like you can see me doing here. This will resize all of your tracks to be the same size. You can also go right inside of a track, or we're actually end up calling tracks playlists. So understand if we call a track playlist, we're really talking about the same thing. So that's kind of a DigiDesign word, and there is a reason for that, and we'll get more into why tracks are actually called playlists in the future. But understand that if you go right inside this little gray area here and you click, you can actually resize tracks here as well. So we can make tracks miniature or micro. Now, if I hold down Option before going into that little area, we can actually make all tracks the same size. Notice we can make them all large. I'm holding down Option while doing this, or mini, or we can set them all for medium. So notice that Option didn't show up on my Keycaster, which shows you my key commands. It's actually only going to show me specific key commands whenever I have 2 key commands. So just be aware of that, and I'll try to call these out. So that's pretty easy, resizing tracks. So we've already covered how to create tracks, how to name tracks. You just simply double click on the track name, call it bass. Now, if you hit OK and you want to go name the next track, you'd have to double click on the next track. So maybe the next track is called snare. Now, if you'd like to get to the next track without actually having to close out of this window and continue to rename tracks, just hold down Command and use your left-right arrows or your up and down arrows, and it'll automatically take you to the next track so you can rename all tracks really quickly and easily. Cool. I'm not going to bother with renaming any more tracks for the moment. Up top, very top left-hand corner, we're looking at all of our different modes that you're going to use inside of Pro Tools. Now, all of these are going to be covered in the Week 1 lecture. Now, the Week 1 lecture is a required viewing. Please be aware that it is about a 2-hour video, and it does cover information that will be in your multiple choice test, as well as information that you're going to see on your assignment that will be turned in on Sunday. So this lesson that you guys are currently in is really typically just to get you guys up and running with your project. Today, I'm going to take you guys through the environment of Pro Tools and how to get your files into Pro Tools, simply because I want to get you guys up and running with your final project. So your different modes we're not going to really cover today. We're not going to cover how they all work, because that information is already going to be covered in your future lecture assignment, as well as independent small videos that we've included to go along with your reading assignments. So be sure and cover those. The modes themselves will not be covered today. They will be covered in small videos as well as a lecture assignment. Going to be very important you guys understand those. We have some Zoom features here that, again, we're not going to really cover here today because they're already covered in those other assignments. And then you have your individual tools. So the individual tools, if you want to cycle through them, you're going to use your escape key, very top key, left key on your keyboard. It'll cycle through all your different tools. Tools will not be covered today, again, because they'll be covered in individual videos as well as your lecture assignment. Be sure you watch those assignments. Today is going to be just getting us up and started with the environment of Pro Tools and how to get your files into Pro Tools. You also have your your main counter, which shows up top here, and then you have a sub counter. You might have your sub counter not in view. There you go. Now you can view your sub counter, or you can choose to hide your sub counter. But basically, this shows you what your current ruler view, which we're looking at the bottom right here, going all the way across your edit window. This is your ruler view. We're currently in minutes and seconds. We could change that to bars and beats with a small little arrow right here. It's basically going to be how these modes operate, so, and how you're going to be making selections. So I'm now in bars and beats, or I could change that over here in my ruler view by clicking on my ruler view. Now, you may not have a full ruler view in view. So notice here I'm back to minutes and seconds here, switching it from just selecting it in my ruler view. Now I'm in time code. Now I'm back to bars and beats. So typically with music, for this final project, you're going to want to stay in bars and beats. And you don't really have to have all of these windows showing. You could actually just choose to show only the main ruler if you want, which currently is bars and beats. Now I'm going to show off one more here because we're going to show it here in a moment. We're going to show markers, and we're also going to show tempo information. So that's going to be important here for the final project. So markers and also tempo, as well as bars and beats being your main time scale that you're going to be using for this final project. You also have your event edit area. That is this little area here that shows start and link. This will allow me to make selections in Pro Tools. So if I put my selector in a specific track, and then I tell that track, hey, I want to make a selection between bars 56 and bars 88, there you can see I've made a selection. Now, it doesn't make any movements. It only makes selections. So these selections will be in the event that you wanted to edit something. Then it'd make a very specific location. Notice I can rotate through that menu up top, which shows my start, my end, and my length. This area is called the Event Edit window, and I can rotate through there using my backslash key, but that backslash key is located, again, on the numeric keypad. Another reason why you want a full numeric keypad. I highly recommend one. Again, it's not required for this course. However, I highly recommend if you want to dig into what you're going to see here in the future as far as a main DAW, you're going to want a full keyboard. So we've got the clips menu off to the right-hand side we've covered. We've covered creating tracks themselves, how to name tracks, how to show off your tracks menu as well as your groups menu, how to show and hide tracks. By the way, if you hold down Option before hiding tracks, it'll hide all tracks. So maybe you wanted to see just that first track called Audio 1. The quickest and easiest way would be to hide all tracks and then just click on Audio 1 instead of having to click on each individual track that you were dealing with. So if I want to see all tracks, notice there are hidden tracks. If I hold Option and go to Show All Tracks, it'll show all tracks. So Option is going to do two things for you within your stay here in Pro Tools. It's either going to do the same thing to all, which is what it's doing right now, showing and hiding all tracks, or it'll do the opposite of. And what do I mean by that? Well, if we're using our trim tool, we haven't really covered the trim tool, but if you hold down Option, you'll notice that Option is going to reverse my trim tool's direction. Cool. Cool. We've gotten through clips menu, tracks, showing hiding tracks, showed off where you're going to find the your different modes. I'm using tilde right now. Tilde is right below your escape key, which is located at the very top left of your keyboard there. That tilde is right underneath escape. It basically looks like a lazy S or an S that's sitting on its side. That'll allow you to rotate through your different modes. You can also use your F keys. F1 through 4 will select your different modes. You can also use your F keys with your tools as well. You'll see that I'm kind of using some old school method of rotating through my my different tools, and that's using the escape key. We've also shown you the main time scale as well as sub time scale. We've shown you the event edit area, which deals with your start, end, and length. If I want to have an exact 16 bar selection from bar 47, enter in 16, hit enter, and there's an exact selection, which will be really nice for moving and cutting and pasting. All right, cool. We've shown off basically the environment of Pro Tools. The mix window, we're going to save the mix window for later on throughout the month. And the edit tools and modes, be sure you watch those videos as well as the videos for the lecture environment, because those are going to be super important to get you guys up to speed with how to navigate throughout Pro Tools. You guys are going to need to know the modes, you're going to need to know the tools and how they all work. You're not really going to be able to work with these files very well until you have that all down. Let's take a look and see where our download is in progress. Cool, it's downloaded. Nice. So let's go get those files, and hopefully they don't sound terrible. Hopefully they sound pretty good. And let's show you what you want to do with these files. So I'm actually going to leave this window kind of off to the side here because I'm going to need to come back to it. I tell you what, somebody remember for me E flat minor and 189 beats per 89 beats per minute, because I'm going to need to append that information. I'm going to close the current session we have. We were just basically showing you this to get you to understand how a session works and how to navigate through a Pro Tools session. So I'm not going to bother saving this for right now. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go back and let's go get those files. So for right now, let's hide Pro Tools. And these files should be located for me in my downloads folder. And here they are. You can also see some other files that I downloaded from last week that I never used. Let's go ahead and rename this file. I don't like the way they name stuff. It adds premium to this. I don't need it being said that it's premium. I also like for it to be capitalized, just like any artist name would be. Drop City Yacht Club. Let's get a little space in between our hyphen there. Dreamin'. And then, okay, it's going to be called Dreamin' California. And then any of the extraneous stuff that's left on the file name, don't really need. Except for I do want to add some information to it. So let's delete that for right now. We're going to add the actual beats per minute, or the actual tempo, BPM. And if my short-term memory serves me, it's 89 beats per minute. And the key is E flat minor. Cool. So let's go show you where I actually store these files. I showed this to you earlier, so this should be a refresher, but I want you guys to get used to having really good file hierarchy. So I have a folder inside my music folder called Artist Remix Files. And just to make this a little easier on myself, let's color this a really pretty color so I can see it here in a moment. Colored it gray, and it's just so that my eyeball will see it a little easier. So I put it in my Artist Remix Files. There it is. I colored it gray. Now, when I create my Pro Tools session is going to be stored in a different location. My Pro Tools session is going to be inside of my music folder, inside Pro Tools here. So what I'm going to do, just to make this a little quicker and easier on myself as far as the naming of the session, is I'm going to go ahead and just copy the name from the song itself, the artist and the song name, because I want to go create a brand new Pro Tools session. And then I want to name it that, so I might as well just copy the information so I know exactly how it's named correctly. And let's create a brand new session. Command End. All right, we're going to create a blank session. We'll call it Broadcast Wave. Sounds good, 24-bit. I believe the files are 16-bit. Don't stay with 16-bit files though, because the processing isn't going to be good as well. As I mean, you're going to have better processing with all of your plugins if you go 24-bit. It's going to sound better. Yeah, we're upsampling slightly, but there is an added benefit to it. I'm going to stay with 44.1. Yeah, we could go up in sample rate, but the actual payoff for going up in sample rate is really not that great. I'm going to stick with 44.1 for right now. I recommend you guys do the same. For last use or your I/O setups, pick stereo mix. That way we can make sure we hear this. We'll go ahead and hit OK. And when we hit OK, it's going to ask us where we want to store it. I don't want you saving it back to your desktop. That's not where I want it. I want you guys to put it in a good location where you know you're always going to have all your work. So I'm going to go inside my music folder here. Remember, I created a folder called Pro Tools, and this is where all of my Pro Tools sessions are stored. We'll go up to the name of the session here. Just Command V to paste the name. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and we're done. It's already saved back to the correct location. Awesome. Here I've got my blank session inside of Pro Tools, but now I actually need to go get the files for Pro Tools. So let's go get all the files from the artists themselves and get them imported in Pro Tools, and then we'll get a good glimpse on how this actually sounds. Because remember, I didn't get to audition it, so I'm kind of going by the seat of my pants here. So to import files, Shift-Command-I is the quick key. Now, I just use the quick key, but I want to show you where to go get that. This one's kind of a more obvious one. You want to go underneath File, Import, and what are we importing? We're not importing session data, although be aware session data will be covered. Importing session data really has to do with importing an individual track from an older Pro Tools session. It'll import the track, all the files that were on that track, even the way they were edited, as well as all the plugins and their plugin settings. So that's pretty cool. We're not importing MIDI. We're not importing video. We're importing audio. So that was the window you just saw, was the import audio. Now, where are we getting the files from? Well, remember, I put them inside my music folder. I put them inside this artist's remix files. And then so that it jump out at me, I colored it gray. We'll go ahead and open up my Drop City Yacht Club. And here are all the files. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these files, and we're going to hold down Shift so I can select them all. Now, notice here I have the option. I could have gone back. Let's do this real quick. If I wanted to, we could go to the drums and just audition these files right here before we import them. Notice you have a play icon. Not sure if this is going to sound good or not. We're going to hit play, and I'm going to risk it here. Looks like the drums aren't starting at the beginning of the song, so I can actually pull it forward. And I'm getting static, which means we're not going to actually get to hear these files, which stinks. Not a big deal. Let me just show you how we're going to get these into the session for right now. For right now, you don't want to choose add. What does that mean, add? It means it's going to add the files, but it's actually going to leave them in their original location, and I don't want that. I want brand new copies of these files. That way, I'm not going to unintentionally do anything destructive or harm the original files. If I make some mistake throughout Pro Tools, that's okay. I have the original files, so let's choose copy. But let me make sure I have all the files selected. That way, I copy all the files. Select the top file. We'll navigate down here by using the little slider here off to the right. We'll hold down Shift, and I'm going to choose to copy all these files. Copy. And we're going to copy these all over into Pro Tools. Now, it's defaulting back to my audio files folder for my current session. So you don't really have to do anything here. You can simply choose Open. In the event that you weren't sure, you can always look here, and you can see that it's in the audio files folder of the session that I just created, the Drop City Yacht Club Pro Tools session. So once you need to put them back into the audio files folder, so it defaults to that, so you don't really have to ever do anything for this page, which is nice and convenient. Just simply hit Open. Now it's actually going to upsample all of these files. Since they were 16-bit files, it's upsampling them to 24-bit files. And then once it's upsampled the files themselves, it's asking me, well, what do I want to do with these files? So if I wanted to, I could choose to just send them to the Clipspin, which still imports them into Pro Tools, but doesn't have them actually in a physical track. It puts them over in the Clipspin. Think of this like your ingredients cupboard to pull out from whenever you want to use, so the files are there for us. Since we're getting started, we might as well make it have it create brand new tracks for each of these files, so that we have the files inside of Pro Tools. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And once I hit OK, it's going to create brand new tracks, as well as put the tracks, I'm sorry, put the files in their specific tracks. You can see it's done that now, and you'll see that there's no waveform because Pro Tools is currently reading the waveform overview so that it can understand what the waveforms actually look like. Now, here's where I'm going to run into a quandary, because a moment ago I tried to play these back and we didn't actually hear anything being played back from Pro Tools, which was the same error that I actually had at the beginning of our session. Let me solo out the drums and hopefully we're going to hear drums. And of course I have nothing but static on my end. Now, the bad part to this is the only way for me to rectify this is what I did earlier, which would be to actually boot out of our session, which would drop everybody out of class and then drop us back into class. But again, it's just because I have multiple things happening here. I'm actually trying to record to this application called Screen Record Lite. The reason I'm actually doing this is I was doing a test. Screen Record Lite will actually default to let me export this video into the native format that YouTube uses, which in theory, if it worked correctly, would allow me to get our live stream session archive posted tonight and not have to worry about any of the archival process that we are going through. I'm using Apogee Maestro as well. That's sitting off to the side, basically just giving me phantom power for my mic with my Duet USB audio interface, as well as multiple other applications which are robbing resources from Pro Tools right now. So the next process, we actually need to hear the audio in order to show off the next features. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to boot you guys all out of class. I apologize for this. It's simply just the nature of the beast. I did not expect this to happen to us, guys. It's just what happens when you're dealing with software. I apologize that you guys are going to have to do this. So I'm going to be booting us off. I apologize, but I've got just a couple more things to show you guys to basically wrap up our session. The two things in the event that you aren't able to join us or for some reason you have to leave, I'm going to show you guys how to create markers to stencil out the different positions within your song, but more importantly, we're going to talk about how to actually get the tempo of your session to line up with the song. And again, I haven't even heard the song yet, so hopefully the song sounds good. So I apologize for the inconvenience of booting you guys out of class. And please remind me to start the recording process for the screen record. And in some fashion or form, I'm going to have to actually create either two archives, version 1 and a version 2 that you'll have to watch, because it's going to stop the screen record process for all of us. And I apologize for that, but there's nothing I can do. It's just the nature of the beast when you're dealing with so many different forms of technology. I apologize. I'll see you guys back here shortly. Stay tuned, and hopefully we'll be back within the next 5 minutes. I appreciate your patience. Take care. See you in a moment.